Just like quick background because we kind of want to know who is behind the curtain,
Mm,
tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you got into crypto. I know you've been in it for
mm.
a while, but
Yeah.
just give us a sense of like who you are first and foremost.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to go way back if we're going back before crypto. So I have, I guess, a traditional Web 2 engineering background. So I've been involved with startups and crypto and just generally programming since I was like a teenager. So that's going back 15 years. Um, Depending on how nice you want to be to me, you might say I don't look that old, but I am. Um,
You look great.
I look great. Yeah, some people will give me some abuse. Like, you do have some gray hairs. So yeah, we go back to sort of 2010. And that's when I made an early transition from being what was then just a developer, right? So I'm hacking on projects. I have paid gigs, just writing software for what were mostly e-commerce projects at the time. So just there was a bit of a boom around then, especially in the UK, around all of these businesses trying to go online. And I was working for a number of companies that were building sort of software for checkout flow. So, selling mattresses online or selling various other sort of household things online. And then around 2011, I kind of got that startup bug and I was like, hey, it'd be really cool to be a founder of a project. And I had all of these crazy ideas at the time, various sort of moonshot startup ideas. It was, I guess, the trendy hot thing to do at the time as well. And I spent some time in Mountain View, actually. I think it was 2011. In 2011, it was late 2011. I spent a couple of months in Mountain View, where
What's Mountain View?
Mountain View, it's in the Bay Area. So I spent some time in the Bay Area.
Oh, snap. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. So I spent some time in the Bay Area, and the typical sort of startup dream, right? I remember having like Bud Light on the roof of some sort of bungalow in the Bay Area on Sunset, and thinking this is really cool. And then I came back to the UK, and then I was like, well, startups in the UK are very different from in the Bay Area. Mostly it's raining and it's miserable and they're not as sexy. So I adjusted to that, and I joined a startup accelerator in the UK, which is actually where I met some of the team on MegaPont. So this is way back in 2012. Done the whole founder thing, raised some investment, failed some startups, had some success with others, all that kind of thing. And during this time, like Bitcoin is kind of taking off. I'm involved with startups. So I'm holding Bitcoin since like 2012. So like early days. And as everyone kind of was back then, really, it was the trendy, cool thing. No one really knew that it would become what it was. I think there's even some FUD from me somewhere online where Bitcoin had maybe hit like $400, and I was like, this might be the top. How wrong I was. I'm glad that I didn't follow through with my conviction on that. So then we were going to like 2015, and I had my first child with my partner, and we were living that like joking entrepreneur way of life, right? 1 month we'd be the kings and queens, and then the next month it was like, oh, we don't have any income for 4 months, and like this is really difficult. And we just wanted some, I guess, some stability, because we're at that stage of our lives where it's like, do we really want to start delving into savings? And Bitcoin at the time wasn't where it is now either, back in 2015, right? So could have probably liquidated some of those holdings and been very fortunate. But I decided to transition from, I guess, being a founder to like golden handcuffs, which is jokingly what I call every software engineering job. Mm-hmm. Because like the pay's good, the working conditions are good. If you're at college or something now and you're figuring out what to do, like being a software engineer isn't a bad play. Even if you don't end up at like a FAANG company like a Facebook or a Apple or anything like that, it's a very comfortable way of living. So I picked up a role in 2015 at a company called Visible. I was the head of data science there. So we were building models to optimize procurement pipelines for like the world's largest organizations, right? Like massive global conglomerates. So you're saving minuscule percentage basis points on their procurement pipeline, which equates to millions of dollars.
Yeah, it just compounds into like
it's huge. Yeah. So you save like 0.1% on some sort of small part of a supply chain for like a big company. It's tens of millions in some instances. So I'm leading teams there. And I don't like to move around. So I'm there for like 5 years. So that takes us like all the way to 2020. But being a founder, I had side projects. So I created a company called Arcata with a couple of friends, Matt and Tom, in the UK. And Arcata was it's a KYC and due diligence platform for the art industry. So you're going to start seeing where I come into NFTs here. And it was a RegTech business solving, it really kind of didn't get anywhere for a number of years. And then in 2020, the EU implemented this directive called the EU Fifth Anti-Money Laundering Directive. And what that basically meant is that every business with transaction volumes over $10,000 had to go through KYC, any art transaction. So if you buy a painting right now in the EU from an art gallery and it's $11,000, you have to hand over your passport. They're going to check, see if you're on any sort of international blacklists and you can't buy this item. And they're like usually from like either the US SEC or some other various regulatory in whatever jurisdiction.
And that's because people who have money in the country who have no way of getting it out would buy things and then move the things and then sell them on the other side.
Yeah, well, so it's quite funny. I remember reading some guidance from HMRC. So HMRC are the legal body in the UK. And I was like, why are they doing this? I was like, are people really laundering money through art? Like, this sounds wild. And there was a story about an art gallery in the UK who had sold something. I can't remember what it was. It was some like old manuscripts it was about $3 million, right? So they'd sold some art manuscripts for $3 million. And they apparently believed it to be normal and within the law to accept payment for those in two forms. So one of them was, and this is in the HMRC guidance, I'll have to link it to you, it's quite hilarious. One of them was like part of the payment was in literally a briefcase full of money. And the other part of the payment was in a briefcase with diamonds.
Oh, that's not sketchy at all. Like that's normal.
Like you think that's in a movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like just what's going on here? But no, like they legally paid for an item through those means, and they reported it. And like this is just normally how transactions in that world can happen. It's not like the day-to-day sort of way that things do happen, but things like that do happen. And HMRC and other EU authorities like, hold on, this is taking the piss a bit, right? Like you can't be going around paying for manuscripts of diamonds and just dollar bills. So they implemented this law, and the company just took off. So it's done really well. I've kind of stepped back a bit from that company, and Matt and Tom are just rocking it now. They're doing really well, and that's kind of where I got involved with NFTs. But I'll come back to that. So then from Visible, I joined a company called Primer. So Primer is like it's now a payments unicorn in the UK. So it's like one of the fastest growing companies in Europe. It's like infrastructure for your payment stack, right? So I go back to e-commerce and I'm leading teams here. And while doing that, I'm moonlighting with Arcata. And I think at the time, Beeple had just sold his NFT. It was when it was like 69 million or something. And we started to hear all these art galleries reach out to us and like, can you tell us about NFTs? Like, what's going on with NFTs? How do we get support like to launch NFTs? And to be honest, the first question was, are these within the scope of the AML Fifth Directive? And I started to dig deeper and deeper into NFTs. My crypto holdings are going to the moon during this time. And then COVID hits as well. And it's quite funny. Someone said, how would you summarize your 2021? And basically, it's like NFTs and GameStop. So they kind of
honestly, those are two words that like most people would laugh at, but like if you were in it, there's no laughing.
It's history. Yeah, it's part of history.
I was on that GameStop ride, like really early days as well. And
so you found out about that like from Reddit?
Wall Street Bets. Yeah, Wall Street Bets. And I jumped in so early as well. It was maybe about $16 a stock at the time.
Oh Lord.
And that went as you can expect it to. So that's like a big part of my life. I jokingly with my partner, I said we should get like a GameStop registration plate and just put like GME on the car, just because that had a profound impact on our lives, mostly because it put us in a position where I could start to take time away from the golden handcuffs and put it into other areas of interest. So we were able to get a nicer house, all that kind of stuff, which is weird. And like I see our community, so the best messages I've had from our community, I've had a couple of messages like this where ape holders have sold a 1 of 1 and they've been able to like buy a house or something crazy like that, which is wild because I remember how I felt in that situation with GameStop. It was a bit different because I had no one to thank, right? There was no project lead. There was no one I felt kind of responsible for putting me in that position other than like the whole community. But at the time, I just felt so overwhelmed that I almost didn't know what to do. It's like, I'm in this crazy position and it's like when winning the lottery, but you're a bit more involved, right? It's like your friends have picked the balls for you and said, oh, you're now going to win this lottery. Like you want to thank those people. So I get messages from MegaPont holders like, oh, I've been able to buy a house and stuff like that.
That's
which
awesome.
I think they're definitely the best messages to get, because obviously the project could have gone the other way, right? There's always that risk. So when it's gone that way,
my house.
I lost my house. I bought these 100 NFTs and then now I have 0. Can you help me? Devs, do something. But no, they're the best messages. So I've had a crazy ride. There's a lot of waffling there, mostly just leading teams in Web 2 and like shipping products. And I said something in Discord last night actually on this topic that we're now starting to see this, I want to say next phase of in particular NFTs, where there's a lot of talented individuals in Web 2 startups who are now seeing the amount of money in this space and are transitioning over. And the quality is just going up and up and up. And people like openly say to me, how come MegaPont has been able to ship so fast? And like the whole of the MegaPont team, other than the artists, and we can come out to how we met, is mostly like what I consider like my inner circle. So people that I trust, that I've known for, I think at least like 5 years. Nice. They're talented individuals. And like Mr. Zion on our team, the one thing that he openly said when we were starting out is like the most difficult thing that we could see in these projects across any of the chains is they can't seem to find reliable individuals. And there's a lot of individuals who like, oh, hey, I can build this for you, I can do this for you, but they're not reliable. Sometimes the work isn't up to standards. But we're now seeing a whole bunch of really talented folks come in from Web 2 and be like, hey, look at like my portfolio building at a Facebook or a Google, or look at my design skills on Dribble. So the quality of projects is just now going up and up and up. And I feel like we were just kind of there already. So certainly, and we hope this does happen, I think we'll start to see projects catch up to us and surpass us in many instances, because they'll come with a team equally as talented, if not more so, than ourselves. And that's really what I would attribute it down to, which is the same with most startups as well. We've been most successful for 2 reasons: 1, the community, and 2, just the quality of the team. And I think people sometimes associate MegaPont as being just like, oh, it's Mark and MegaPont, but it's like 8 or 10 people who work actively on MegaPont. And if you take out like 1 or 2 of those, the whole thing fucking falls apart. So it's really just the output of all of the constituent parts together that produces the big machine.